finally. We will be judged for what we will do and not for what we have done. So that's what I repeat to myself every morning. So challenges are there, and we learn how to be flexible, how to change our strategy.
That was Pietro Beccari, CEO of Christian Dior Couture, discussing challenges facing his luxury empire. Little did he know that the biggest threat to Dior's carefully constructed image would come not from competitors or economic downturns, but from an unexpected source: Chinese factory workers with TikTok accounts. The fashion world is being shaken to its core by a wave of explosive revelations, and Dior's CEO is panicking. Luxury, elegance, exclusivity. These are the promises that brands like Dior have built their empires on for decades. The allure of owning something special, something that sets you apart from the masses. But what if everything you've been told about luxury is a carefully constructed illusion? What if the same items you're paying thousands for are being made for pennies on the dollar? Chinese factory owners are flooding TikTok with videos showing how they're the ones actually manufacturing products for brands like Dior, Gucci, and Hermes, and they're offering to sell those exact same items directly to consumers for a fraction of the price.
The Chinese manufacturers are saying that you should not be buying the Hermes bags or Prada bags or Nike shoes from the luxury brands. Instead, you should be buying it directly from the Chinese manufacturers. In other words, the luxury brands are going to be spending billions of dollars on marketing their products, building their brands, organizing fashion shows, hiring influencers, so that the Chinese manufacturers can go directly to their clients and sell these products for Walmart prices.
This isn't just social media drama. These revelations have triggered a full-blown crisis in the luxury market. And for Dior, one of the crown jewels of the LVMH empire, the timing couldn't be worse. Under Pietro Beccari's leadership, Dior's sales had quadrupled to nearly 9 billion euros by 2023. He was seen as a miracle worker, transforming Dior into LVMH's second-largest fashion powerhouse. But now, that spectacular growth is threatened by an unexpected enemy: TikTok. Social media users are furious at the revelation that they've been paying astronomical markups, up to 48 times the production cost, for items that cost mere dollars to make. And these aren't knockoffs or dupes. These are the actual manufacturers claiming to produce the authentic goods. According to court documents from a 2024 Italian investigation, a Dior handbag that retailed for $2,800, 2,700 euros, was produced by subcontractors for just $57, 53 euros. That's a staggering 48x markup, and consumers are outraged. The timing is particularly devastating because it comes on the heels of other Dior scandals, including revelations about exploitation in its supply chain. In 2024, an Italian court placed Christian Dior under judicial administration after finding that subcontractors were exploiting workers, with illegal immigrants working 24-hour shifts in factories doubling as living quarters. One viral TikTok with over 3 million views shows a Chinese man in a warehouse filled with bags that look identical to luxury designs, claiming they're leftover stock from European luxury houses and offering them at 1/10 of the retail price. The collective exposure has created a perfect storm for Dior and other luxury brands, but it's the response from Dior's leadership that has truly shocked the industry. Multiple sources within LVMH claim that Pietro Beccari has issued an ultimatum: either the TikTok exposes stop, or Dior will consider withdrawing from certain markets where the backlash has been most severe. This desperate move reveals just how seriously the luxury industry is taking these viral revelations. But is Beccari's threat realistic, or is it just the panicked reaction of an executive watching his carefully crafted brand image disintegrate in real time? Heritage, craftsmanship, exclusivity. These are the words luxury brands like Dior use to justify their astronomical prices. For decades, consumers have accepted the idea that they're paying for exceptional quality, traditional European craftsmanship, and the creative vision of fashion's greatest minds. But the shocking TikTok videos flooding social media are tearing that narrative apart, revealing a very different reality behind the glossy facade. A viral video creator, identified as Wang Xin, has gained millions of views by claiming to be an original equipment manufacturer, OEM, for luxury brands. He shows warehouses filled with products that look identical to designer items, offering them at a fraction of the retail price. Another TikTok account, Luna Sourcing China, went viral with claims about sourcing leggings from Chinese factories for $56 that retail for $98, showcasing the massive markups applied by Western brands. The account Rosie.Sportswear gained over 1.5 million likes with a simple message: "Now this is how you do a trade war." These videos are part of a broader phenomenon dubbed Trade War TikTok, a response to Trump's 145% tariffs on Chinese imports announced in early 2025. Chinese manufacturers, feeling disrespected by Western policies, are taking their case directly to consumers. consumers. Some TikTok videos allege that 80% of Gucci and over 60% of Prada items are manufactured in China, often relabeled as made in France or made in Italy, after minor finishing touches in Europe. For Dior, these claims couldn't come at a worse time. The brand was already reeling from a supply chain scandal in 2024 when an Italian court investigation revealed shocking labor practices. The court placed Dior under judicial administration for 1 year, finding the company negligent in overseeing its subcontractors. But the most shocking revelation was financial. Dior was selling bags for $2,800 that cost just $57 to produce. This 48x markup is precisely what the Chinese TikTok creators are exposing, and consumers are furious. When confronted with these revelations, Dior's response has been telling. While directly addressing the TikTok phenomenon, CEO Pietro Beccari has attempted to defend the value of luxury brands in more general terms, but this dismissive response has only fueled the backlash. Social media users are increasingly viewing luxury brands like Dior as high markup middlemen rather than creators of exceptional products. The industry has largely remained silent. According to Business of Fashion, Hermes, Chanel, and Gucci owner Kering did not respond to requests for comment, while LVMH, Dior's parent company, declined to comment entirely. This silence speaks volumes, and it comes as LVMH reported a 5% fall in fashion and leather goods sales in the first quarter of 2025, a troubling sign for the conglomerate's financial health. But are these TikTok claims legitimate? Are luxury brands like Dior really having their products made in Chinese factories? The answer is complicated. Experts like Hao Dong from the University of Southampton argue it's highly improbable that these TikTok creators are actual suppliers for luxury brands, given the strict non-disclosure agreements typically enforced. Regina Frey from the University of the Arts London notes that while parts may be pre-assembled in China, luxury supply chains are notoriously opaque, making it difficult to verify these TikTok assertions. Hermes has explicitly denied outsourcing production to China, emphasizing that their bags are crafted exclusively in France by trained artisans. What is clear is that the economic incentives for offshoring production are powerful. In 2024, manufacturing wages in China were approximately 20% of those in the US, creating a strong financial motivation for brands to shift production while maintaining premium pricing. The impact of these revelations on Dior's bottom line has been immediate and severe. The company's stock, already affected by the 2024 supply chain scandal, dropped from $830 to $765 per share as the TikTok controversy gained momentum. For Beccari, who had been a transformative leader for Dior, this crisis threatens to unravel years of careful brand building. Since taking over as CEO in 2018, Beccari had driven remarkable growth at Dior, with company sales reportedly quadrupling to nearly 9 billion euros by 2023. His retailtainment concept blended products, experiences, and culture to create immersive luxury environments that justified premium pricing. But now, that carefully constructed illusion is crumbling as consumers question whether they've been duped all along. Pietro Beccari has built his career on understanding consumer psychology. In a 2023 interview, he emphasized the emotional foundation of luxury purchases.
People want to pleasure themselves. They had a tough period behind them, and we still are living. We are in England here. We're talking about Omicron variant, etc. So I think there is still this mood of wanting a moment for yourself, a moment of pleasure, and I think luxury is nothing else but about emotions. And finally, you buy something because it gives you emotion, it makes you happy for that moment. And I think we don't sell things that people need to live. But we sell things that people need to live better, probably, or just enjoy a better life.
But what happens when that emotional connection is shattered by revelations about exploitation, excessive markups, and deceptive practices? That's the crisis Dior now faces, and it explains the company's drastic response to the TikTok phenomenon. The luxury fashion industry is facing an existential crisis unlike anything it's experienced before. The viral TikTok revelations exposing the true cost of producing luxury goods have triggered a consumer backlash that's wreaking havoc on brands like Dior. But Pietro Beccari's reported threat to withdraw from markets if the TikTok exposes don't stop reveals just how desperate the situation has become. Is this threat credible? Industry analysts are skeptical. China, one of the markets potentially targeted for withdrawal, represents 12% of global luxury sales, down from accounting for nearly half a decade ago. While still significant, this reduced percentage makes a tactical withdrawal more feasible than it would have been previously. However, completely abandoning such a crucial market would be a dramatic and potentially self-destructive move, particularly when Beccari himself has emphasized Dior's continued investment in China.
I think that these richness redistribution policies will have an impact to favor the middle class. The middle class is huge and growing in China. I don't know how many million people access to middle class revenues every year, and that's our treasure for the future. So in fact, I think mid-term or long-term, these policies will have a positive impact on luxury. And for the time being, we keep investing in China.
This statement, made before the TikTok crisis erupted, demonstrates Dior's strategic commitment to the Chinese market. Walking away now would be an extraordinary reversal, suggesting just how seriously the company views the current threat. The more likely interpretation is that Bakari's threat represents a pressure tack, an attempt to leverage Dior's economic importance to encourage Chinese authorities to crack down on the viral TikTok phenomenon. This approach aligns with Bakari's reputation as a bold, decisive leader willing to take risks. As he stated in a 2019 interview with Alain Elkan, he values flexibility and the ability to change strategy in response to challenges. But the TikTok crisis represents a challenge of unprecedented scale and complexity, one that threatens the very foundation of the luxury business model. The timing is particularly problematic for Dior, coming on the heels of multiple scandals that have already damaged the brand's reputation. This accumulation of negative publicity has severely compromised Dior's carefully cultivated image of luxury, exclusivity, and ethical craftsmanship. The TikTok revelations have also had tangible effects on consumer behavior. Chinese e-commerce platforms that facilitate direct purchases from manufacturers have surged in popularity, with DHgate reaching #2 and Taobao hitting #7 on the US Apple App Store. This shift in purchasing patterns represents a fundamental threat to luxury brands, effectively cutting them out as middlemen between manufacturers and consumers. How has Dior attempted to counter these damaging narratives? So far, the response has been a mixture of silence, deflection, and generalized defense of luxury's intangible value. LVMH declined to comment on the specific TikTok claims, while Bakari has spoken more broadly about what consumers are paying for when they purchase luxury goods. To understand Bakari's mindset during this crisis, it's worth examining his leadership philosophy. In a rare interview, he offered insights into what drives him.
The brand has to be spontaneous and real. It's very important. I think that young people have that in their culture because they are born like that, and I believe they can bring us this sense of transparency, and also we can learn from them what they expect from luxury.
The irony of Bakari emphasizing transparency cannot be overlooked, as the current crisis stems precisely from unprecedented transparency about Dior's production costs and methods. PR experts like Laurent Francois, managing partner at 180 with clients, including Dior, have attempted to reframe the narrative, stating that luxury isn't built on short-term noise, but on deep investments in people, craft, and vision. But this message is struggling to resonate with consumers who feel betrayed by the revelations about actual production costs and methods. The reality is that the luxury industry is facing a fundamental challenge to its business model, one that has relied heavily on opacity and mystique to justify extraordinary markups. With a global market value of $380 billion, the stakes could not be higher. The industry already experienced a 2% decline in 2024, and the current crisis threatens to accelerate that downward trend. For Dior specifically, the challenge is existential. The brand's core values of heritage, female empowerment, and artisanal excellence are being undermined by revelations about exploitation and deceptive practices. Financially, the impact has been immediate. Dior's parent company, LVMH, saw its stock decline significantly as the controversy unfolded, with billions in market value erased. So what options does Dior have to address this crisis? Industry experts suggest several potential strategies. Transparency. Katie Drew from Born Social sees this as an opportunity for brands to lead by spotlighting true craftsmanship and embracing transparency. Dior could reveal more about its supply chain and manufacturing processes to rebuild trust. Emphasis on craftsmanship. Following the example of other LVMH brands, Dior could invest more visibly in artisanal programs that highlight the skill and craftsmanship involved in creating luxury goods. Reevaluation of pricing. While a radical reduction in prices seems unlikely, Dior could potentially adjust its pricing strategy to create more accessible entry points for consumers while better justifying premium prices for truly exceptional items. Enhanced digital strategy. Bakari has emphasized the importance of the digital experience, and Dior could leverage this to create new forms of value for consumers beyond physical products. But these strategies face an uphill battle against the stark reality exposed by the TikTok videos, that luxury brands are applying extraordinary markups to products that cost relatively little to produce. It's worth noting that Dior is not alone in this crisis. The entire luxury industry is grappling with the implications of these TikTok revelations. But as one of the industry's most prestigious names, Dior faces particular scrutiny. The crisis also reflects broader geopolitical tensions, particularly the escalating US-China trade war, Trump's 145% tariffs on Chinese imports, and the upcoming elimination of the de minimis exemption for packages under $800 have fueled the trade war TikTok phenomenon, as Chinese manufacturers seek to bypass these restrictions by selling directly to consumers. Environmental concerns add another layer of complexity. Regina Frey has pointed pointed out that mass ordering from Chinese manufacturers via individual shipping creates an environmental disaster due to excessive packaging and carbon emissions, potentially giving luxury brands an angle to critique the direct purchasing trend. The historical context of Dior adds another dimension to this crisis. Founded in 1946 by Christian Dior, the brand has built its reputation on French heritage and craftsmanship. The new look of 1947 revolutionized post-war fashion and established Dior as a symbol of French luxury. However, this isn't the first time Dior has faced controversy. According to historical accounts, during World War II, Christian Dior designed dresses for the wives of Nazi officers and French collaborators while working at Lucien Lelong, a morally complex chapter in the brand's history. In more recent times, Dior faced backlash in 2011 when creative director John Galliano was caught on video making anti-Semitic remarks, leading to his immediate dismissal. The brand has shown resilience through these previous crises, but the current TikTok controversy strikes at the very heart of its business model and value proposition. Despite these challenges, Pietro Beccari maintains a philosophical perspective on leadership and adaptation.
I had many dreams. My job was supposed to be football player. I never had a precise goal in life. I just followed my instinct, my heart, and that's what I suggest you guys to do. I just live life quite spontaneously, and God knows what will happen tomorrow.
This adaptability may serve him well in the current crisis, as traditional luxury brand strategies appear increasingly ineffective against the unprecedented transparency enabled by social media. Beccari's reported threat to withdraw from certain markets represents a high-risk gambit in this ongoing battle. If Chinese authorities were to crack down on the TikTok phenomenon, it might provide temporary relief, but the fundamental issues exposed, the massive markups, questionable labor practices, and potential misrepresentation about manufacturing origins would remain unaddressed. For everyday consumers, these revelations have been eye-opening. The mystique that has long surrounded luxury brands is evaporating, replaced by hard numbers about production costs and uncomfortable questions about ethical practices. According to industry analysts, the luxury business model has traditionally relied on what some call the 90/10 rule, where 90% of the price goes toward brand image, marketing, and profit margin, while only 10% covers the actual cost of production. While this has always been known within the industry, the specific numbers revealed in the Italian court case and highlighted by the TikTok creators have shocked many consumers. This exposure comes at a particularly vulnerable moment for luxury brands as they navigate post-pandemic recovery, inflation concerns, and changing consumer priorities, especially among younger demographics who increasingly value authenticity and ethical practices. In a pre-crisis interview, Beccari acknowledged the importance of maintaining profitability amid inflation pressures. Well, I think it's all about inflation. You know, I saw your titles in inflation we are waiting for today for the data in the US, but you know, everything costs more. We know raw material costs more, transport costs more. So it's a must for us to increase prices in order to maintain profitability and to cover ourselves from this inflation, which is, you know, hitting every industry and not only the luxury industry. But again, the demand is very strong and we are trying to catch up with a strong demand. It's the case for many branches into the luxury industry. And so far, we, as you said, we managed to have no impact on our profitability. The irony is palpable. Beccari justifies price increases based on rising costs, yet the TikTok videos and court documents reveal margins that many consumers find exploitative. As this crisis continues to unfold, the future of Dior and the broader luxury industry hangs in the balance. Can brands successfully defend a business model built on astronomical markups in an era of unprecedented transparency, or will they be forced to fundamentally reimagine their value proposition for a more informed, skeptical consumer base? For Dior, the challenge is particularly acute. Will Beccari's threat to withdraw from markets actually materialize? And if it does, would such a drastic move succeed in silencing the voices exposing the industry's inner workings? Or would it merely accelerate the brand's decline? The coming months will be critical for Dior and the luxury industry as a whole, but one thing is already clear. The carefully maintained mystique that has justified $1,000 price tags for decades is rapidly dissolving in the face of unprecedented transparency. In early 2025, few would have predicted that TikTok videos from Chinese factory workers would threaten the foundations of the global luxury industry. Yet here we are, with Dior's CEO reportedly threatening market withdrawal and consumers questioning everything they thought they knew about luxury brands. The emperor's new clothes have been revealed, and they cost a lot less to make than we've been led to believe, as Beccari himself acknowledged before this crisis erupted.
We learn how to be flexible, how to change our strategy with this pandemic. It's another learning for the pandemic. We keep being flexible and try to face the future. The future, you know, we cannot control.
The future that Beccari now faces, one where consumers have unprecedented insight into Dior's production production costs and methods may be the ultimate test of that flexibility. The luxury industry as we know it will never be the same again. If you love this video, click on the card showing on your screen for more videos like this.